What is up, guys? The Strong Boys 19 here. This is episode number 2 for the segment of album reactions, and this is going to be on a very different move and style for this video, as I'm going to be listening and reacting to the brand new mixtape, which I thought was going to be an album, but it's a mixtape from the British singer-songwriter, avant-garde, avant-pop, experimental artist FKA Twigs. Now, this is the release of her mixtape of Caprisongs. I'm going to speed every single song up in this video because I will not make this video be copyrighted as much as I can. So, never heard a thing on this mixtape. Let's dive in. Track number 1 is Ride the Dragon. Just a very basic introduction and hearing a lot of edited vocal effects in a low pitch sound of tone, as I would hear the natural voice of FKA Twigs so far in this slow beat. I think that quick instant transition from the beginning going straight into the next big beat with this type of sound is a really good match. The beat I am digging into this is pretty catchy just already, and I like the sound of FKA's, just her own voice and her higher notes just sound gorgeous. There are some moments immediately onto the direction of this track where she is a bit explorative, especially when she just raps much faster for just a few seconds. And I do like this style of the delivery. There are many of these different layers involving these glitchy experimental noises and hearing the different voices through the speakers of her singing in the background and various other ways. But I think Ride the Dragon really sets things up very comfortably. Ride the Dragon starts things in a solid move. Okay, so that was Ride the Dragon. There are some points where her voice does get in a bit of a processed way. Thankfully, not so much into the move of autotune, but Ride the Dragon, so solid. Track number 2 is Honda. Whoa! I am digging this beat. It sounds, for me, much more unique than what the beat of Ride the Dragon was, which I did dug, but the beat on Honda is, for me, a lot more rhythmic, and I find that there are other beats in the previous material from her albums to be at a unique and creative way that's adventurous, but the beat onto Honda, this sounds very good. I do find the par feature on this track does flow in a separate chemistry, and I have never been very familiar with this artist whatsoever, but he has his own flavor, and this style of rapping does combine things in a very balanced sound, and I'm still loving this beat onto this track. this track is very, very good. And over time, the beat and the other styles of the rapping to the balance of sound, it feels even more explorative. This is a very strong number. And obviously we're on to track number 3, but I think that Honda does have a sense of creativity. Track number 3 is Meta Angel. It is still insane to me that her range can still hit these notes as comfortably as possible, and I can immediately begin to hear a lot of the melody for the verse sections. Okay, there are some points immediately that I will hear some processed sound on vocals and auto-tune. The auto-tune is really starting to pop in. And I am a musician that is against auto-tune, but thankfully on a lot of her music, she doesn't use it very consistently without just to be so predictable and burying the own true self of the voice. But I do respect what she wanted to make, but I find with the vibrato to the way she sings onto this track, it's like a resonating feeling. Okay, I do think that onto the chorus section into this track, that's where the auto-tune really starts to build up things. And not gonna lie, it is a distraction for what I was absorbing into the sound and the way her voice was like earlier and later on. And, you know, like I said, it's just really up to her to do whatever she wants, and I appreciate that. But I find the auto-tune was like taking away some of the things that I was liking. But other than that, it's one of the other mellower tracks with these very staccato, glitchy type of beats. The auto-tune, when she tries to hit these notes, well, the way they're processed, they do feel all over the place, and it's like, yeah, it does sound robotic and synthetic. And whenever she is exploring the different notes all at once, the auto-tune unfortunately seems to detract the attention of what I was digging, which is, to me, the flaw on this track. But I find this one to be a decent number, and I'm almost finished with this one, so I'll wrap this one up. Yeah, Meta Angel is a good track. There are some sweet, bright, higher background notes onto the keyboards, and with the, I guess, industrial but processed sounding beats. Despite the auto-tune, not bad of a song. Track number 4, the music video clip, Tears in the Club, featuring The Weeknd. There's so much stuff in her voice where this type of sound is melancholic, but it's already a catchy, more of a memorable style of music here, and I personally do think that this is a piece of music where it's more inspired. It has a separate but better craft. Yet Alone, this is a particular song where a lot of the vocals are so edited, but I really do love the sound of the instrumentation on this track. And this is, as I said, even more memorable and catchy, but, you know, I'll just have to think that this is a separate art form where I think it is better than the last track of Meta Angel. And while I do really like Honda for what it is, arguably Tears in the Club and the chorus itself being the main big part of the song is even more dynamic. And I think The Weeknd's own separate sound is decent, and with the set of the lyrics, I find, while it, yes, FKA Twigs now moving into the mainstream, which is no problem whatsoever, what really matters is just that it's something that she wants to make, and I find Tears in the Club to absolutely absolutely match things even further as another strong song. Alright, Tears in the Club by FKA Twigs. With her performance, there's a lot of charm into this track. And Yet Alone, with what I've just said about a minute ago at this point, I really think this is a separate piece of music that I would agree. It's so big, and it's pretty uplifting as well with the way it sounds. Track number 5 is Oh My Love. This is a return back into the very melodic moves again into her range, and not gonna lie, I am already just grabbed and been digging into this style of music and this track. And Yet Alone, I know that a lot of you guys who know me very well, that know my music taste in just a sheer big variety, but this is super rare for me to do something like this. But FKA Twigs, with her identity at this point, well, ever since her acclaim from the couple of albums that she did, and to move into this is something diverse. And not gonna lie, I find this beat to really make me wonder about one of the stuff on Kendrick Lamar. Maybe, I don't know, something from Untitled, Unmastered, and her voice in this track just matches. It's actually just wonderful. Ooh, I really like that. I find the harmonies to make it so syncopated and tight. The occasional harmonies on her performances add a boost. I think that FKA Twigs, to explore a lot of diversity and just difference in the sound, is just remarkable. It's as remarkable that she went from the atmospheric, the very effects-driven record of LP1 to the more emotional, heartbreak and heartfelt performances on her second album, Magdalene. I think this is one of the best numbers on this mixtape. I think that What My Love bit is so good already. There's just so much interaction, a lot of the connection that once you hear it, it's just bang, bang. It's like that she's just addressing some self-belief for any listener who's been going through just some dark times, and I really appreciate her own honesty. It's like on Kendrick Lamar's addressing on the To Pimp a Butterfly album. That is immediately what I was thinking of. That is excellent. That is absolutely excellent. Oh my love. The messaging, the simplicity is glorious. Personally, I would just put this in as maybe my favourite on the album. Although Honda is still a fave, and Tears in the Club could be a grower, but Oh My Love, it's just like at the top at the moment. Track number 6, which is Pamplemousse. Not a very long composition. Might have mispronounced that name, but fuck it. This is very experimental already. Instant vibes of, I guess, a mixture on DJ Shadow or a bit of like a faster make of a beat on a Massive Attack track. Those two artists just pop in my head. Don't quote me on that. Your thoughts will be different, but that's what I think. It has just a trip-hop experimental vibe. I wish that this would have been longer, and there's no other way around it, but it's been pretty much wild. Track number 7, which is personally an interlude of Caprisongs, featuring Solo. Again, very brief, a lot shorter for nearly 30 seconds. Full of soundscapes already. Soundscapes and these glitchy, hip-hop-y kind of samples or whatever, or just something robotic. Track number 8, which is Light Beamers. That is beautiful, very beautiful indeed. Just to hear that falsetto on that breathy vocal note with the vibrato, gorgeous. A ton of voice editing from a few less than a second of Chipmunk to a lower pitch register change. It's pretty compressed, very vocal edited, but the way she sings in her own way and ability earlier on, just so good. There are moments when I was paying attention into this beat. It's pretty much like a mixture onto this beat, but they just go all wacky and wild. While I think this is absolutely one of the other great performances vocally on this track, the processing onto the weirder effects can be a little distracting, but at the same time, I think this is very solid. I like the sound of the piano and the thin but bright sounded strings onto the harp. So I think this is a solid number and not one of the stronger tracks as the other ones I've mentioned, but oh my love, standout track for me so far. Track number 9, which features Shy Girl of Pappy Bones. Instant reminiscence to me of like Introducing from DJ Shadow. Just the way it begins. You know, like the beginning of that album. Very minimal, not too crazy onto the formula of the beat. One of the other basic, but still a redefined sound of a structure. Personally, this is not one of my favourites. While I think it's decent, over time, though, the chorus does lack something. It feels repetitive and nothing all that big in a specialty. But it's personally the other moments on the track that it feels subpar. Not to disregard it completely, but at the same time, this is not one of those that stood out for me. And I really do respect what this type of sound it delivers, but it didn't match up to me. Track number 10, Which Way, featuring Dystopia. Very energetic, quick electronic beat, hearing some more synthesizer-driven sounds. This is a song where, structure-wise, nothing so explorative, but I do find that it has its own merit to find different pieces of sound. Just like on the previous track, nothing much going on into finding and exploring a lot of ways to change the style and mood, but I do accept this one quite a lot, and I think the synthesizer effects do sound very good on here. Yeah, it is a track that I would personally select a lot more and accept better than Pappy Bones. And let's move on to track number 11, Jealousy, featuring Rhema. There's a lot of the interaction, a return back into the vocal harmonies, and a pretty decent beat. there's a bit of that weird percussion type of fulfillment. Again, onto the sound on the processed vocals. Not that I always want to bring it back up, but I think what's really missing about the fruition on the type of sound, yet alone that she's experimental a lot and moving into this newer direction, which I absolutely do give her credit for. I think that what's missing about this type of direction is that with Magdalene and even on LP1, there's a lot more soul into this direction, and I find that this track of Jealousy, that does have a major point and so much of the melody, but it's not one of those songs where it really defines in that own type of emotional type of way, and that is a little bit disappointing. Personally, my opinion at least. Personally, not one of my favourites. Again, just like on Pappy Bones, it feels repetitive, and there's barely anything different going on into this track that feels like it's not compelling with me. But I find that the confidence and the passion is all here, and that is one of the important things. That if you want to make something that sounds good to you, then I am happy for that. But with my opinions, it's just had to be said. And I'm not disrespecting this move for FKA Twigs, because of how much I really appreciate her very much as a musician and a solo artist on the last records. But much respect to make this big move. Track number 12, Careless, featuring Daniel Caesar. Okay. That is a very good effect. I like to hear her main vocals and the background lower registered voices just matching these pieces. This is what I personally am attaching with a lot better than the last track. Oh, there's so much more soul into this track. This is what I was saying after the last track of Jealousy. This type of song here is exactly one of the things that I do like on FKA Twigs. And it's just that it's natural, it's comforting, it all just blends. Oh gosh, those harmonies from Daniel, I loved that. And even on the comforting piano in the background, it's warm and just soothing. So I don't care what anyone says, but this is one of the best tracks that I personally do dig. This one, along with Oh My Love, are really good. This is personally one of the standout tracks. This track is amazing. Just great. Full of brilliance, full of emotion. So awesome. No words needed, personally. And let's move on to the next track. Track number 13, Minds of Men. As I was paying attention so deeply in her singing, there's a bit of a weird phaser kind of effect, but like a very minimal type of sound. I find this is a song where it has a lot of optimism. There's a lot of that major, poppy, but profound way. And I quite like this piece of music for that. Besides a lot of the vocal editing onto the instrumental parts of the track, there's a ton of reverb, but it doesn't feel washed out. Does not feel like it's suffocating anything else. While it makes the sound of this track a lot brighter than before. Very, very solid track, but following that after Careless doesn't take away some enjoyment that I am digging onto this mixtape. I personally think that my least favourite is maybe Puppy Bones, and I think Meta Angel being one of the other least favourites, and even onto Jealousy, but I think Puppy Bones is the weakest song on the record. Track number 14 is the Track Girl interlude. This is like a big avant-garde, modern experimentally complex, I guess you could say, but at the same time it feels all over the place. Besides hearing one of the audio tracks on one of the speakers, so I do appreciate that it is an interlude into the way this was made. Basically, not a lot to really dive in, but I think the idea of putting in the audio recordings of people who talk to her, have separate personalities as well, it fulfills something in a different way of interaction, and I find that to be a very solid idea. Track number 15, which is Darjeeling featuring Georgia Smith and Unknown T. There's some unique way and flow onto this type of rapping style as I was paying attention into the lyrics, and I find that kind of fruition to connect so well. I like that sometimes when I was listening to the beat that it starts in like a 4/4 beat, but then it just transcends and switches things in like a different time signature, or just make it I guess like a polyrhythmic type of style. Not one of those tracks that I would be replaying about, because I find with the tracks that I do love, they were great. Some awesome material. This one has a decent mark onto the writing, but the guest appearances from Smith and Unknown T are really talented. And onto the last piece of the interludes, the Christie interlude.
Hey, I just came to look at your chart, and oh my goodness, you are experiencing the most powerful times right now. You have a full moon day at 20 degrees south. We have Pluto, the main planet. So we have to be born on a new moon. Like it's such an optimistic energy. You make anything happen. The world is always there. The symbol of the moon is the sun. Scorpios, sound through the seeds, to love tonight. Such an absolute Caprisongs.
Feels like some kind of a different mark of tone, like part of a script, and instrumentally it's like in part of a movie soundtrack or something. Well, then it leads on to the final track of the mixtape, Thank You Song. Okay, this is the return into something in this beginning that it's like that the honesty, the emotional sounds have been returning since like the release of Magdalene, and that's what I personally like a lot onto FKA Twigs, not only for the uniqueness of the material, but just to really hear and listen to her own actual frame of mind and bravery. I do like that dramatic all vocal harmony type of sound, but I do hear a bit of the robotic-ish type into that part, because it would have just been at one of the best sounds on performances, type of background vocally part. And I'm not addressing these flaws in just a targeting way, but as a musician myself, it really has to take up to the challenge for me to really think about what I want to address in a personal and opinionated way, what FKA Twigs did have in her mind and what's in store for what she wants to make, and that makes her happy, and I accept that. This is arguably the more emotional factor of the whole mixtape, if not the biggest one at that. While there were some performances onto this style of sound that musically sounds so nice and very basic, but so attachable for anyone to draw the listening ears in. But while I do think that this is a comforting way to finalize the mixtape, with my personal comments earlier on, it's still that type of feeling for me. Alright, so that was the whole mixtape of FKA Twigs' release of Caprisongs. Personally, I do not resonate with the whole thing as much as LP1 and Magdalene whatsoever, because the uniqueness, the adventurous ways, the creativity of those two albums are a lot more favourable to me. But this is as mainstream as FKA Twigs can really make, but I'm not saying that in a bad way. There's a lot of the passion, the charm, and the dedication with these things I've just said earlier on, that this is a move that she wants to do, and I don't have any issue with it. I want to find for myself of what I can be connecting with. I want to find something that I do feel inspired by, and I think Caprisongs does have moments of some brilliance, like on the tracks that I at some points really did like or love, but it's the whole thing that I wouldn't really resonate and be playing as much as her previous albums. So with Caprisongs, it is something to behold that some fans may love or some may don't. We all have our own opinions. I was a fan of the earlier stuff of FKA Twigs. I want to see your comments on this. Please let me know what you think of Caprisongs in the comments down below. Not that I would personally play so much as LP1 or Magdalene, but extremely solid product of a release. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.